Adding groups to other groups is a process called nesting. Nesting creates a hierarchy of groups that supports your business roles and management rules. A best practice for group nesting is known as IGDLA, which is an acronym for the following: identities, global groups, domain local groups, access. The parts of IGDLA are related in the following way. Identities, user and computer accounts, are members of global groups, which represent business roles. Global groups, also known as role groups, are members of domain local groups, which represent management rules, for example, determining who has read permission to a specific collection of folders. Domain local groups, also known as rule groups, are granted access to resources. In the case of a shared folder, you grant access by adding the domain local group to the folder's ACL, with a permission that provides the appropriate level of access. In a multi-domain forest, the best practice for group nesting is known as IGUDLA. The additional letter U stands for universal groups, identities, global groups, universal groups, domain local groups, access. In this case, global groups from multiple domains are members of a single universal group. That universal group is a member of domain local groups in multiple domains. IGDLA example. The figure on the slide represents a group implementation that reflects the technical view of group management best practices, IGDLA, and the business view of role-based, rule-based management. Consider the following scenario. The sales force at Contoso Limited has just completed its fiscal year. Sales files from the previous year are in a folder called Sales. The sales force needs read access to the sales folder. Additionally, a team of auditors from Woodgrove Bank, a potential investor, require read access to the sales folder to perform the audit. You can implement the security for this scenario by following these steps. 1. Assign users with common job responsibilities or other business characteristics to role groups, which are implemented as global security groups. Do this separately in each domain. Add salespeople at Contoso Limited to a sales role group. Add auditors at Woodgrove Bank to an auditor's role group. 2. Create a group to manage access to the sales folders with read permission. You implement this in the domain that contains the resource that is being managed. In this case, the sales folder is in the Contoso domain. Therefore, you create the Resource Access Management Rule Group as a domain local group named ACL_sales_read. 3. Add the role groups to the Resource Access Management Rule Group to represent the management rule. These groups can come from any domain in the forest or from a trusted domain, such as Woodgrove Bank. Global groups from trusted external domains, or from any domain in the same forest, can be members of a domain local group. 4. Assign the permission that implements the required level of access. In this case, grant the Allow Read permission to the domain local group. This strategy results in 2 single points of management, thereby reducing the management burden. One point of management defines who is in sales, and the other point of management defines who is an auditor. Because these roles are likely to have access to a variety of resources beyond the sales folder, you have another single point of management to determine who has read access to the sales folder. Furthermore, the sales folder might not be a single folder on a single server. It could be a collection of folders across multiple servers, each of which assigns the Allow Read permission to the single domain local group. Configuring a group manager. The properties page of a group has a Managed by tab. Use this to provide information about which manager is responsible for this group. When you add a user or group to the name field, ADDS will provide information about that user, such as office, address, and telephone number. There is also a checkbox called Manager Can Update Membership List that allows the manager of the group to manage group membership. This is useful in distributed administrative environments in which managers are responsible for controlling their own departmental groups.